Every forest on this list has something in common. Thousands of visitors, decades of reports, and one specific detail that keeps appearing in witness accounts from people who have never met, never communicated, and in several cases don't even share a language. Not a general feeling of unease, not the dark playing tricks. Something specific, something consistent, something that, by every measure we have, should not be there. Tonight, we cover 5 forests across 5 different countries where independent witnesses have reported the same presence over decades. We're not talking about folklore, though. The folklore exists and predates the modern reports by centuries in every case. We're talking about documented, modern accounts from hikers, researchers, photographers, and locals who went in looking for nothing unusual and came out describing the same thing. Before we get into the forests, I want to establish the standard we're working with tonight. For a forest to make this list, 3 criteria had to be met. First, a minimum of 10 years of documented modern reports. Second, at least one specific detail that recurs across independent accounts with no conventional explanation. Third, a pre-existing indigenous or local tradition that describes the same phenomenon before the modern reports began. Every forest tonight meets all 3. Let's start with the oldest accounts. Aokigahara sits at the northwestern base of Mount Fuji in Japan. Approximately 3,500 hectares of dense forest growing on hardened lava rock from a volcanic eruption in 864 AD. The lava substrate makes the forest floor uneven and disorienting. Compasses behave erratically due to the iron content in the rock, and GPS signals are unreliable under the canopy. It is, by design of the terrain, a place that is genuinely difficult to navigate, even for experienced outdoors people. The forest has been associated with death in Japanese tradition for centuries. In the Heian period, over 1,000 years ago, impoverished families are documented to have left elderly relatives in Aokigahara during famines. The spirits of those who died there, yurei in Japanese tradition, are described as bound to the location of their death. Unable to leave, their suffering kept alive by the manner of their passing. This tradition predates modern reports by 1,000 years. What modern witnesses report, and this is the detail that recurs across accounts, from visitors, from the volunteer groups who conduct annual searches in the forest, and from the few journalists who have documented extended time inside, is a specific sound, not wind, not wildlife, a sound described as breathing, low, slow, coming from no identifiable direction. Multiple witnesses who have reported this sound independently described the same physical response, an overwhelming compulsion to stop moving and stand still, as if stopping is the correct response to what they're hearing. A Japanese documentary crew that spent 3 days in Aokigahara in 2018. Their footage was partially broadcast and partially withheld by the network, reported that 2 crew members independently stopped at the same location on the second day and refused to continue. Neither could explain why. Both described the same sensation, the feeling that continuing forward would be wrong, not dangerous, wrong, as if they were about to enter a space they had not been given permission to enter. Hoia-Baciu. forest sits on the outskirts of Cluj-Napoca in northwestern Romania, approximately Arwolling hectares, and it contains something that no botanist, soil scientist, or environmental researcher has been able to explain. A perfectly circular clearing, approximately 250 meters in diameter, where nothing grows. Not grass, not weeds, not the moss and lichen that cover every other surface in that forest. The soil composition in the clearing is identical to the soil immediately outside it. The sunlight exposure is the same. Nothing grows there. The clearing has been documented since at least the Ejo-Lilleen S, when biologist Alexandru Sif began photographing anomalous phenomena in the forest, including lights, figures at the tree line, and the clearing itself, which was already present and already barren when he began his research. Sif entered the forest alone in 1968 to document what he called an acute, anomalous event he had observed from outside the tree line. He was never seen again. His camera was found at the edge of the clearing. The film inside was exposed, not damaged. Exposed, as if every frame had been taken at once. The specific presence that witnesses report in Hoia-Baciu is visual rather than auditory. Multiple independent accounts from hikers, from researchers, from the large community of paranormal investigators who have visited the site describe figures at the tree line surrounding the clearing, standing at the boundary between the forest and the open ground, never entering the clearing, never approaching, just standing at the edge, watching anyone who enters the open space. The clearing, by every account, feels like a stage, and the tree line feels like an audience. Epping Forest is a 2,400-hectare ancient woodland on the northeastern edge of London. It has been continuously documented since the 11th century. It appears in the Domesday Book of 1086. For nearly 1,000 years, it has been used by the same city, walked by millions of people, photographed and mapped and studied. And for nearly 1,000 years, a specific section of it, a stretch of ancient hornbeam woodland, near a location called Ambrosbury Banks, has generated the same reports. A woman walking between the trees, ahead of you, always ahead, never closer, never further. Ambrosbury Banks is an Iron Age earthwork, a defensive enclosure built approximately 2,000 years ago. Archaeological evidence suggests it was the site of a significant, violent event during the Roman conquest of Britain. The figure reported in this section of the forest is always described the same way: a woman in dark clothing, moving between the trees at a pace that keeps her consistently ahead of the witness, regardless of how fast they walk. She never looks back. She never speaks. And she disappears not by going around a tree or over a hill. She is there, and then she is not there. This account appears in records from the 18th century. It appears in Victorian ghost hunter documentation from the 19th century. It appears in reports filed with local paranormal research organizations in the 20th and 21st centuries. The description has not changed. Same figure, same behavior, same disappearance. 3 centuries of independent witnesses describing the same woman walking ahead of them through the same section of the same forest. No explanation has survived scrutiny. The figure is still reported today. Shawnee National Forest covers approximately 280,000 acres in the southern tip of Illinois, a section of the state that feels geographically misplaced, more Appalachian than Midwestern, with sandstone bluffs, dense hardwood forest, and terrain that has been continuously inhabited for over 12,000 years. The indigenous presence in this land is among the longest documented in North America, and the specific area of the forest known as the Garden of the Gods, a section of eroded sandstone formations that local Native American traditions describe as a meeting point between worlds, has generated consistent modern reports for over 40 years. The presence reported in the Garden of the Gods section of Shawnee is auditory. Voices, not one voice, multiple voices, speaking simultaneously in no identifiable language. Witnesses describe the sound as coming from the rock formations themselves, from inside them, or from spaces between them that are too small for any person to occupy. The voices are not loud. They are described consistently as conversational, as if a group of people is having a discussion nearby, just out of sight, in a language that is almost recognizable, but not quite. 3 separate groups of researchers have attempted to record the voices using professional audio equipment. 2 of the 3 captured something on their recording's audio that was not present to the human ear during recording, but appeared on playback. One of those recordings was submitted to an audio forensics laboratory. The lab's report confirmed the audio was genuine, not a recording artifact, not equipment interference. They could not identify the language. They could not identify the source. Their final line, "We recommend further investigation by specialists outside our field." The Freetown State Forest in southeastern Massachusetts sits inside the area researchers call the Bridgewater Triangle, a roughly 200 square mile zone with the highest documented concentration of paranormal reports per square mile of any region in the United States. The forest itself covers approximately 5,000 acres. It has been the site of documented unexplained activity since at least the 17th century, when the land was purchased from the Wampanoag people under circumstances that tribal historians describe as coerced. The Wampanoag had a specific prohibition against settling on or farming that land. The prohibition was not explained to the buyers. The presence reported in Freetown State Forest is the most varied of the 5 forests on this list, which is itself significant. Witnesses report figures, lights, sounds, and in several cases, physical sensations, being touched, being pushed, feeling resistance when walking in specific directions, as if the air itself has changed density. What is consistent across all categories of report is a single detail: the sense of being evaluated. Not watched, evaluated. Multiple witnesses, independently, have used that specific word. The distinction they draw is precise. Being watched implies passive observation. Being evaluated implies that a judgment is being made. A trail runner who has logged over 400 miles in Freetown State Forest over 3 years described it this way in a post that was later deleted from a running forum. "I've been in forests all over New England. I've run at night. I've run alone in weather that should have scared me. Freetown is different. It's not that something is watching you. It's that something is deciding something about you. Every time I go in, I don't know what it's deciding. I don't know what happens if it decides wrong. 5 forests, 5 countries, 5 specific presences that have been reported consistently across decades by independent witnesses with no connection to each other. A sound in Aokigahara that makes people stop. A circular clearing in Romania where nothing grows, and a biologist walked in and didn't walk out. A woman in Epping forest who has been ahead of witnesses for 3 centuries. Voices from inside rock formations in Illinois speaking a language nobody can identify. And something in a Massachusetts forest that isn't watching you. That is evaluating you. We don't know what any of these presences are. We don't know if the consistency of the reports means they are the same type of thing or entirely different things that happen to behave similarly. What we know is that the reports exist, that they are consistent, and that the land in every case carries a warning from the people who knew it longest, a warning that was given before the modern reports began, and that the modern reports have not contradicted. If you have been to any of the 5 forests on this list, Aokigahara, Hoia-Baciu, Epping Forest, Shawnee, or Freetown, and experienced something you haven't been able to explain, tell us in the comments. Location within the forest, what you heard or saw, whether anyone else was with you, and whether they experienced the same thing. We are building a record. Subscribe, because the next video goes into one of these forests, and we have footage.